It's game time. If you enjoy the content, make sure to like the video and subscribe. This is a book move. The opening is called King's Pawn Game.
This is a book move. The opening is called Sicilian Defense.
Knight to f3 is the best move.
This is a book move. The opening is called Sicilian Defense French Variation.
Pawn to d4.
Pawn captures on d4.
Knight captures on d4 is the best move.
This is a book move. The opening is called Sicilian Defense French Variation, normal.
Knight to c3.
Knight to c6.
Knight from file d to b5.
Pawn to d6 is best.
Bishop to f4.
I played pawn to e5 to challenge black's control of the center and prepare for potential pawn breaks on the queen side. This move also pins black's knight on f6, creating a weakness that can be exploited in the future.
Bishop to g5 is best.
Pawn to a6.
Knight to a3.
I played pawn to b5 to challenge black's control of the queen side and prepare to develop the rest of my pieces. This move also pins black's knight on c6, putting pressure on the pawn to d5 square.
Bishop captures on f6 is excellent. This is a trade. Knight to d5 is best. This offers a trade.
Pawn captures on f6 is best.
Knight to d5 is best.
Pawn to f5 is best. This offers a trade. This attacks the pawn.
The pawn to c3.
Bishop to g7 is good. This defends a rook on height. This develops a bishop. This fianchettos the bishop by putting it on a powerful diagonal. Pawn captures on e4 is inaccuracy. This permits the opponent to attack a piece. The opponent can win a tempo. The opponent can play bxb5.
I played pawn captures on f5 to challenge black's pawn structure and create a potential weakness on the king's side. Pin on black's knights also makes it difficult for them to defend against my next move.
Bishop captures on f5 is best. This develops a bishop.
Developing the knight to a strong central square, preparing to control the pawn to d5 square and potentially pinning the black knight on c6.
Bishop to e6 is the best move.
Bishop to d3 is the best move.
Preparing to develop the bishop and support the pawn on f4, while also eyeing the king's side and potential weaknesses on the queen side.
Bishop to d3 is the best move.
Pawn to f5 is best.
Bishop to c2.
Preparing to develop the knight to a strong central square, supporting the pawn on pawn to e5 and putting pressure on black's position.
Knight captures on e7 check.
Queen captures on e7 is best. This defends a bishop on s6.
Bishop captures on f5 is the best move.
Bishop captures on f5 is the best move.
Knight captures on f5.
Queen to f6.
Pawn to g4 is excellent. This defends a knight on f5. Queen to d5 check is best. This defends a pawn on g2.
Queen to g5 is a sharp and aggressive move, attacking black's king and preparing to launch a kingside attack. It also pins black's knight on g6, creating a weakness on the king's side.
Pawn to h3 is best.
King to h8 is a defensive move, pushing the king to safety and preparing to castle kingside. It also slightly weakens the kingside pawn structure, but the potential threat of the black rook on pawn to h8 is mitigated.
Developing the queen to a strong central square, putting pressure on black's position and preparing to potentially attack their king or pieces.
Attacking the kingside pawn structure, queen to g6 prepares to develop the queen side and puts pressure on black's position, while also eyeing the potential weakness on f5.
Queenside castle.
I played pawn to b4 to challenge black's control of the queen side and prepare to develop the rest of my pieces. The pin on black's knight on pawn to c6 creates a weakness that I aim to exploit.
Pawn to c4 is the best move.
Rook from file to c8 is the best move.
Pawn to b3.
Bishop to f6 is inaccuracy. This move leaves pawn and pawn hanging on b4 and d6. The opponent can play qc2. Pawn to a5 is best. This defends a pawn on b4.
I played king to b1 to prepare for the potential pawn storm on the queen side, pinning the black knight on pawn to c6 and supporting the central pawns. This move also opens up the b file for potential rook activity.
Pawn to e4.
I played queen captures on d6 to take advantage of the pin on the knight, forcing Takeshi to recapture with a potentially weakened pawn structure, gaining a strategic advantage.
I played pawn to a5 to challenge black's pawn structure and prepare for potential pawn breaks on the queen side. The move also pins black's knight on c6, making it harder for them to develop their pieces.
Queen to d7.
Pawn to a4.
I played queen captures on a4 to gain a strong initiative on the queen side, putting pressure on black's position and preparing to launch a pawn storm on the d-file. This move also pins black's knight on a4, making it difficult for them to maneuver.
Rook to a8 is the best move.
Queen captures on b4 is the best move.
Rook to a8.
Queen to b7 is good. This creates a fork on pawn and pawn. Queen to e3 is best. This offers a trade. This attacks the pawn.
Rook from file to d8 is good. This offers a trade. This develops a rook. By placing the rook on an open file, it controls important columns. Rook captures on a2 is best. This develops a rook.
Queen captures on e4 pins the black knight on f6, gaining control of the f-file and preparing to launch a potential kingside attack. This move also opens up the d-file for the rook to potentially use later.
Rook to d2 is best. This offers a trade. This attacks the pawn.
I played pawn to f4 to challenge black's control of the centre and prepare for a potential kingside attack. The move also pins black's knight on s6, creating a weakness that can be exploited in the future.
Rook to b2 check.
I played king to c1 to prepare for the potential pawn storm on the queen side, supporting the b4 pawn and putting pressure on black's position. This move also helps to control the d5 square, which is a key strategic location.
Queen to g6 is excellent. Queen to g8 is best. This defends a rook on f8.
Rook to d2.
Rook captures on d2 is best. This is a trade. By placing the rook on an open file, it controls important columns.
I played king captures on d2 to gain a strong initiative on the king side, putting pressure on black's position and preparing to launch a potential kingside attack. The pin on black's knight also helps to neutralize their counterplay.
Rook to e8.
Queen to f3.
Bishop to c3 check is excellent. This defends a pawn on b4. Queen to f7 is best.
King to c1 is good. King to c2 is best.
Queen to f6 is good. Queen to a6 is best. This attacks the pawn. This move gains a tempo.
Queen to g2 is good. This defends a pawn on a4. King to b1 is best. This defends a pawn on a4.
Queen to d8 is good. This defends a rook on e8. Rook to d8 is best. By placing the rook on an open file, it controls important columns.
Rook to d1 is best. This attacks the queen. This develops a rook. By placing the rook on an open file, it controls important columns. This move gains a tempo.
Queen to f6 is good. Queen to b6 is best.
King to b1 is the best move.
Rook to f8 is a strong move, attacking the kingside pawn structure and preparing to potentially launch a kingside attack. It also supports the pawn storm on the queen side, putting pressure on black's position.
Queen to b7 is the best move.
Queen to f7 is best.
Queen to d5 pinning the black king on d5, preparing to launch a potential attack on the black position, while also putting pressure on the black pawn on d6.
Queen to e8.
Rook to e6.
Queen to b8 is excellent. This attacks the pawn. This move gains a tempo. Queen to c8 is best.
Knight to d6 is good. Queen to e4 is best. This defends a pawn on f4.
Rook captures on f4 is the best move.
Pawn to c5 is best.
Queen to d7 pinning the black king on f7, preparing to launch a potential attack on the black position, while also supporting the pawn on pawn to d5 and putting pressure on the black pawn structure.
Rook to e8. The game is over. White wins.